out to the Nerd Effect News Show. We are on episode something.
Something.
Damn it.
Episode something.
Episode something. I'm not gonna.
And we got a little something for your earballs.
Yeah. My earballs?
Your earballs.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, I always say.
I'm not redoing this intro.
All right.
But I said earballs.
Earballs are awesome. I said I'm not redoing it.
Oh, okay.
So we're gonna.
I take back my protest.
It'll be whatever number we assign it on the title card.
You guys can.
It's
just
number
deal with
pi.
it. Can we start using imaginary numbers for our news show, you guys?
just
Square root of 1.
Yeah, this is an episode square root of 1. It's fine.
that would be interesting to assign like a mathematical equation to every episode.
No, just
so
imaginary numbers.
Oh.
It's broken out of the gate. You guys should just shoot it.
How is this broken?
That was broken. That's amazing. We haven't talked in a while, like
Comedy
us.
gold, Mike.
Our last show was with a guest, so we didn't get a chance to talk to each other really. So
That was pretty fun, though.
now it was
Well,
fun.
to me, it was like having a normal conversation, but I've known Jason, aka Jake Dudley, for many years.
Yeah.
Right.
So
I've known him since I was in high school, and that was a damn ass long time ago.
Damn ass long.
Damn asshole.
Well, I graduated in 91, so...
I am not going to tell you how old I was then. I was in first grade.
she didn't say she wasn't going to tell you what grade she was in,
That's
just not
true.
how old she was.
Yeah, I would have been what, second, third grade. Yeah.
You would have been second because you were a grade ahead of me.
Yeah, I was actually... his older brother was one of my best friends when I was in high school. So I used to go over to their house because I was hanging out with his brother to game, and then he'd end up gaming with us and stuff like that.
And you'd
It's one
witness
of
his
the-
characters
Kind
dying
of how I
horrible,
got
painful
started on
deaths.
that. Yeah. Honestly, I kind of wish I remembered some of the stuff back then, because that would have been kind of fun to go back on. But yeah,
Yeah.
You spoke twice. You spoke twice.
Hey,
well,
it's
you guys were
light.
covering all the bases. I mean, I was trying to think of stuff to say, but you guys had it.
When I
already
don't know what's
going.
going on, I have a tendency to keep quiet too. It's been pointed out to me. Oh yeah, I listened to that one show the other day, and you didn't really say much. Well, they were talking about PC gaming. I got nothing.
You could ask questions.
You guys answer them all before I have them. So
Yeah, exactly.
sometimes just letting you have a free flow thought process.
This
I
time-
can't believe I said that sentence without stuttering. That was amazing.
Well done.
Thank you. Sometimes it works better than asking questions.
Yeah, there wasn't really anything I could add to it, so I was
Yeah.
good.
Sometimes we're allowed to be quiet, Dustin. God, why do you gotta hate?
It's
Because haters got to hate.
it's an
I could just
audio
start throwing out
podcast.
random monkey tips now.
No monkey tits.
I guess silence is audio.
I think with Mike, silence is golden. Love you,
Maybe
buddy.
even platinum.
I'm not going to argue that.
Platinum science.
So how you guys been? What's been up? What's new? What's fresh? What's
Did we even introduce ourselves?
no?
Do we need to? I mean,
I am
come
one of your
on.
hosts, Dustin Vancouver, joined by my other anchors.
Michael Morgan.
Mason Ireland.
Nikki Priddle.
Yay! It's been a while, as you can tell.
Oh, you made me forget what I was writing. Platinum science.
Are you still taking notes for these shows? Because I'm
No.
Oh,
I'm writing down T-shirt ideas.
oh,
Like in space, no one can hear you botch.
yes.
That is
And
going to be an
platinum
epic shirt.
science, which needs like.
Which needs like Neil deGrasse Tyson with like a watch chain.
Did you
around his neck.
see the picture I posted? To
It's
the
like
Nerd
a
Effect
cross between
page?
Neil deGrasse Tyson and Flavor Flav.
I
Yeah,
wasn't done
Oh.
with my story.
Flavor Tyson.
I wasn't done with my Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Sorry, go ahead.
There was a Valentine somebody posted that was like, roses are red, violets are blue, because that's how the receptors in your eyes view it, and something, but you're still awesome, or something like that. And it was had a picture of Neil deGrasse Tyson in a field of flowers.
Awesome.
It was really great. It's on our page. Thanks for noticing.
Roses are red, violets are blue, because violets are faster.
Sorry. We just
Yay, color
covered
spectrum.
that.
You just did blue shifting?
Like, we were talking about which types of light waves are more efficient for photosynthesis than the ones with a shorter wavelength because they have higher energy.
Wow, this just got really fucking nerdy.
And I'm so happy I can have these conversations. Thanks, biology class. Well, because, I mean, last time I took biology, I'll be honest, I gave 0 fucks.
Yeah, well.
Like, there was not a fuck to be given. I'm pretty sure I failed out by not going to lab. I was dumb when I was younger. I was an asshole with anxiety issues who couldn't leave my house. So I'd sign up for classes and get super stoked and then not go. So, like, all the stuff that we're learning in biology is stuff that I should probably know already, but I don't. And I'm really excited when I learn it. Like, I'm really stoked about it. We're going to do Punnett squares next week.
Nice.
I really like Punnett squares. You draw a chart and you figure out genes and shit, man.
Oh yeah, what's recessive, what's dominant, depending on what your parents are. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. It's fun.
I
like
remember.
the genetics bit is really interesting to me.
Yeah, that would have been 11th grade biology, I think.
Like, I asked my professor's super smart. Like, he's an old guy. Professor Reichert.
I never had him.
Oh, he's brilliant. And he really likes it when you ask him questions in lecture. And he was talking about different genetic traits. And how you can have, like, a super female with, like, the XXY or XXX. Yeah.
And then you can have a super male, which is XXY.
Yeah. So we were talking about all that, and I asked him what hermaphrodites were then. And he got really excited that I asked that question. And it turns out it's in how the genes express themselves, not what the genes actually are.
Yep.
Do-do-do-do.
That almost sounded like a gay rights movement argument there for a second.
Well,
it's all about how they express themselves.
Well, hermaphrodites
Not how they
are
are.
different, though. They're both male and female, and then their parents assign a gender to them. And
Generally.
actually, sometimes when they get older, the gender that got assigned to them isn't their correct gender.
Haven't they run experiments in the past where they try and get like male children to grow up basically expressing female?
There was this one time in Canada.
Yeah, where like they segregated a boy like from the rest of his peers and like was like they were like dressing him in women's clothes like since he was like a toddler.
That's not the one I was thinking of. So it turns out that sometimes when doing the circumcision, that is becoming less and less common now.
Thank goodness, based on what I think the story's going to be going to.
They started in some hospitals using a laser because
it's badass.
Because it
Okay, it's badass.
as it goes.
Well, it cauterizes as it goes, and it also leaves a smaller scar.
Right.
Lasers are badass. I'm still going to go with that.
They shot my baby's wiener parts off with a laser.
Yeah.
How hardcore is my child?
So
If your baby's not throwing up metal horns as it's happening, it
You failed as a parent.
so they slipped
Oh no.
and basically mangled everything.
Oh no.
So, and this child was one of twins.
Oh no.
identical.
Identical twins.
Okay.
Fraternal twins.
Oh. My dad's one of those.
And so they, so this doctor, the psychologist doctor that they talked to, said, well, what we can do is slowly do reconstructive surgeries over childhood.
For free because we mangled your child, I hope.
Well, it's a Canadian system, so they
Oh,
have to
so
pay
it's
for
free
it anyway.
so.
And slowly, physically turn the child into a woman. Because there was not enough tissue left to have the tissue grow enough to even basically make a small penis.
Oh.
And
Basically, your son's a girl now.
right.
Yeah.
So they treated the child always like a girl. You know, they had their son and their daughter. And that's how they treated them. They, dressed one as a boy, one as a girl.
That had to weigh so heavily hard on the parents. Like I can't imagine.
Well, and the doctor operating the laser, can you imagine?
Oh, I'm sure he was unhappy with himself.
Yeah.
And when the child got older, the problem was this I do not like this psychologist at all. I do not find him an ethical person. The psychologist suggested making a false diagnosis so they could give the child hormone pills, but not have the child think they were hormone pills. So they started giving him estrogen and progesterone pills.
Here's your vitamin pill for the day, son.
Essentially.
Or daughter.
Or daughter. Should be a son. biologically anyway. But and also the child was not producing testosterone because of like I said, no genitalia. So, child grew up, went through a not fake puberty, but falsely induced puberty. That made the child become somewhat biologically female. As far as, there was breast growth and,
the
secondary characteristics of, puberty on a woman, that can be induced with hormones. But the child never felt right. Always, like, as a young child, was like, yeah, I was sick and I had to have surgeries a lot. Mm-hmm. But, as a kid, you
become more logical and you're like, shit ain't adding up.
Well, no, just as a kid, didn't think really anything of it and just accepted. Mm-hmm. Because kids don't necessarily grasp gender identity that much.
It's
unless
usually around 6 or 7 that they start comprehending that.
Right. But then had been treated as a girl since born, basically. So did have a gender identity of a girl. Mm-hmm. But then as got older and hit puberty, things didn't start clicking right. And this person, because I don't want to say he or she, because everything got really screwed up and they never actually settled on a gender identity. They grew up through high school being a girl, but then found out that they were originally a boy, tried to be a boy, didn't fit well as a boy, but couldn't fit as a girl anymore because they knew they weren't a girl.
So they wouldn't let her into the locker rooms anymore and stuff like that, I'm sure?
Well, no, this was after high school.
Oh.
And just for like the next 15 to 20 years, just had incredible like psychological trauma because of this. And like, I mean, it's one thing to be, a man born in a woman's body or a woman born in a man's body and want a gender reassignment. Mm-hmm. It is a different thing to be
forced upon,
have it forced upon you, mm-hmm. But the person could never when the person was in high school, dated guys because she at the time was supposed to date guys, mm-hmm. but wasn't really attracted to guys, but at the same time was sort of attracted to girls, but not really.
Because no junk.
Right. Well, most attraction does take place in the head. There's, secondary.
Triggered by hormones, though.
But it's triggered by hormones, and it long, messed up life. They ended up committing suicide at like 32 years old.
Both of them?
No, the daughter, son, not the one who was a boy and stayed a boy, but the one who. Oh yeah. Because like after high school, they spent like 15 or so years going back and forth.
That's super fucked up.
And trying to figure out who they were, as far as, am I a boy or a girl? How do I want to identify? Who do I like? As far as other people, who am I attracted to? Who do I want to spend time with?
Gender identity is such a fluid thing, too. Like, that's gotta fuck with you growing up.
And just ended up not being able to cope. Mm-hmm. And ended up committing suicide, especially since like the parents always tried to be supportive, but yet they were not the person's favorite people.
Yeah.
And the brother,
I'm sure there was resentment there.
Well, no, the brother was like, I have a sister, and couldn't get over, like, could not accept that this thing had been done to what was supposed to be his brother, but he knew as a sister. And was like very unsupportive of his sibling.
That's too bad.
Oh, that's insane.
Yeah. So
that's sibling support is like the number one thing that helps people get through crisis like that. Like,
yeah, I mean, parents are one thing, but having your siblings having your back if you have siblings,
especially a twin.
Yeah.
I mean, you expect, especially going through something like a struggle with your sexual and gender identity,
both physically and
mentally, and I can only imagine the level of fucked upness. But I mean, you expect a certain level of disapproval from your parents because that's
the parents didn't disapprove.
But the fact that the parents didn't, but the brother did is awful.
Yeah, the parents didn't necessarily disapprove.
That person needed a support system.
Yeah, the parents didn't necessarily disapprove, but the person considered them kind of, at fault.
Well, yeah. Who the fuck circumcises with a laser? Come on now.
It became fairly common for a while.
Did it?
Yeah.
Ugh.
I don't know if they still do. I'm thinking scalpel smarter at that point.
Yeah.
To put a funny spit on this, Evie looked at me the other day and said, "Daddy, when I grow up, I want to be a boy." And after I laughed because of the context, I was like, you know what? That's fine. Just make sure you adopt because I want to be a grandpa.
Good for you. Air high five.
Awesome thing. Awesome thing. Again, they have partially figured out how to turn eggs into sperm and sperms into eggs. So
they figured out how to unscramble an egg.
That's a different news story.
I know.
So they're working on basically being able to take the genetic material out of a sperm or an egg and put it into the other one.
Oh, cool.
So that way, like, a gay or a lesbian couple could actually have their own child of their own genetics.
They also figured out how to have two mothers and one father.
Yeah.
Using the regular DNA and the mitochondrial DNA
yes.
of the mothers, and then the sperm from the father. Boom! I remembered. So usually
go science.
Go science.
Yeah, go science.
But that's even cooler.
Yeah.
I was reading a thing about there was this woman who it turns out she had a genetic disorder where she was technically genetically male. Like, her genes were male, her body was female. Mm-hmm. Like, naturally, that way. Yeah. And it turns out that, like, they thought she wasn't able to have children. And then she was having some tests done, and they found that she didn't
Holy shit, you're pregnant.
Well, no, they found a tiny uterus inside of her, like a really tiny one. And they grew it with science. First of all, full-grown woman, they grew her uterus bigger
to size,
and she carried and had twins.
That can't be too far from the truth, though, because I read a story a few months ago regarding a science rebuilding a vagina for a lady.
Yeah.
So that was pretty.
They can do
cool.
all sorts of shit. Like, it's crazy what science can do right now. People can be happy, and
we can rebuild him,
or her,
or her. Yeah.
Or G.
I love that we've been talking about news and we haven't even touched the news that we've actually come here with.
Science is kind of awesome, though.
Science
let's admit it. Especially when it comes to genetics, I think it's fucking fascinating.
Okay, I was going to say, I actually brought two stories that I want to do. So
mine's pretty short, so I think
mine's pretty short, too. We're good.
Mine's semi-short.
Okay, let's just go. Go,
Sweet.
Mason, because you've got two.
Here we go. No, wait.
Okay, we have to Kai Bai Bo.
Okay.
Yeah, we have to make it.
So, Kai Bai Bo.
Oh, man.
Mason and Dustin.
Kai Bai Bo.
Yeah. You go first.
So I have two stories, so I'll go first and last.
The thing that I said is going to be the thing that happens.
So you're going to do both your stories up front, or you're going to come full circle?
I'm going to do it. Let's go full circle. The first one, I have to admit, this is basically more of a rant for me. Okay. This first story comes out of
Disneyland.
The University of California, Berkeley School of Public Health. I am saying this with great emphasis because this is one of the best universities on the planet.
What you're saying is they're credible.
They're insanely credible. And they're
not to be confused with insane and incredible.
They are incredible also, but
so the Joker?
So they're insanely credible, not incredibly insane.
Exactly.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
Maybe a little bit of both, depending on who you talk to.
And one of their emeritus professors, John Schwartzberg, who specializes in infectious diseases, has basically said, precursor. There was the huge outbreak of measles spreading from Disneyland.
That's why I said it was out of Disneyland.
Yes.
I was being funny.
Oh, okay. No, this
It
actually is kind of related. So there have been almost 100 cases of measles reported in just the Disneyland incident, much less the other ones around the U.S.
And just as many cases of
including-
autism.
I see, including one or two here in Boise, right? Or in
Yes.
Idaho, yeah.
Okay. There's a number that is assigned to diseases based on how infectious they are. Ebola this number for Ebola is 2. That means for every one person that has Ebola, they will on average infect 2 people. The average flu virus, flus vary year to year because the flu is basically a new strain of the flu every year.
As it mutates.
Yes. But the average flu is a 10 to 12. So if one person has the flu, 10 to 12 people will get it from them, depending on the flu strain. Measles is the most infectious disease in the world at 18. Or was, before we had a vaccine for it, where, and then now we had a vaccine for it. Everything was going great. It was not the most infectious disease in the world anymore. Very few people caught it. Now these anti-vaxxer bullshit idiots are bringing it back, and it is, again, the most infectious disease in the world for people who are not vaccinated.
Measles are trendy, Mason.
Oh my god, I'm going to punch you so hard.
And-
We're doing our end of the semester presentation on vaccinations, by the way.
Okay.
Oh, I'm so excited. I'll put the final presentation up on our page just so
Nice.
that we can
Put
share.
a picture of Gwyneth Paltrow up on a dartboard and just
Gwyneth Paltrow and,
What's her ass McStupid?
yeah,
Jenny McCarthy.
Jenny
That
McCarthy,
one, yeah.
yes. And
What's her ass McStupid?
that's a good name.
I got the Mick right.
Yeah.
Fuck you, McFuckface.
Let's see. Few little tidbits of newsiness on this. In the decade before the measles vaccination began, 3 to 4 million Americans were infected annually, with about 48,000 hospitalized and 1,000 developing chronic disabilities from measles encephalitis,
Not to mention babies dying.
and 400 to 500 people dying per year from measles. Measles is not always a killer, but
It maims you.
it has a very high chance of maiming people and causing permanent disabilities. It's a horribly easily transmitted disease. I already covered that. And in 2004, there were 3 confirmed cases in the state of Iowa. It cost the state, local and state departments of health more than $140,000 to treat those cases. In 2008, 2 people caught it in Arizona. It cost them a handful of people at 2 hospitals, but it cost $800,000 to treat the measles and to make sure everything else was made safe again. This current outbreak is huge compared to those outbreaks, and it is because of people not vaccinating their children. And it is quite simple. And part of the problem is that media is giving anti-vaxxer crackpots.
Because of that one fucking story that the fucking asshole who wanted money wrote.
Which he's been discredited and disbarred from medicine.
Yeah, and no one can duplicate his results. And the
That's
magazine,
because he
I know.
he fabricated it.
And the magazine that published it was going out of business, and they just wanted a sensationalist story.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. The
Thanks, Magazine of Death.
yeah, but
Exactly.
part of the problem is that
Sad Facebook.
that the media gives anti-vaxxers credibility by putting them on their shows.
We have to see both sides of the story. No, your side
There
of
is
the
no
story
two,
murders people.
There's no 2 sides to the story.
Yeah.
Vaccines work. Vaccines aren't dangerous. There is no causal link between vaccines and autism. In fact, it's impossible. Autism is a genetic disorder. You cannot get it
But
by
Mason,
having a vaccine.
I heard there's formaldehyde in vaccines.
There's a lot of things in vaccines, and they're in safe
but
proportions.
it's used to keep the virus from doing stuff, and
Yeah.
it's not really in there anymore by the time it's...
Exactly.
I can't remember the science words. You know the science words.
But the non-science words, basically, the formaldehyde helps neuter the vaccine, the virus in the vaccine, so you can use a live culture vaccine, but not have it actually give you the effects of the virus.
Which is why sometimes you'll get the sniffles when you take a vaccine.
Exactly.
But doesn't that mean it didn't work?
No, that means it worked.
It means your body is showing symptoms because it's fighting it and learning.
Yep. But yeah.
Symptoms aren't the disease.
Fortunately, one of the guys in my group where we're doing our vaccinations presentation, well, not fortunately, that makes me sound like an asshole, but he's got cystic fibrosis,
Yeah.
and he just got new lungs, which means he's on immunosuppressors.
Yeah.
So we have a very unique
Yes.
perspective for our presentation, and I'm super stoked for how that's going to go over because, yeah.
But yeah, I say, like I said, this one was more of a rant from me, but
It's a rant from everybody
rant.
at the table.
yeah, but
Mike's ranting on the inside.
I'm totally ranting on the inside.
yeah. However, at least in California, vaccination proponents are making some headway. Over the last year, 0.2% of children compared to the previous year have been vaccinated.
New T-shirt idea. Fuck anti-vaxxers.
Not really a good T-shirt idea.
I think it's a great idea.
I don't want to wear a shirt with an F-bomb on it, though.
Yeah.
We just F star.
F star UK.
Or you could just do just anti-vaxxers suck.
But the thing is that when it comes to diseases like this, there's the premise of what's called herd immunity. Mm-hmm. And it's
Preach it! Sorry, I get really excited about herd immunity. It's the reason why I get my flu vaccine every year is not necessarily for me because I'm strong enough to fight it off, but because my roommate has neurological disorders and a weakened immune system and doesn't need me bringing shit home.
right. And the fact that you will possibly interact with an elderly person or a child almost every day of your life, and
Possibly someone who's sick and recovering from chemotherapy.
yeah, there's a lot, and because when we have herd immunity to a disease, that means the disease cannot affect us as a whole. There are occasionally people.
It's hard for it to transmit if there's
It's hard
people
for
who
it
are
to
immune to
transmit.
it.
Yeah, and if there are occasionally people who will still get it even after a vaccine, because sometimes vaccines don't take hold. That's why you're supposed to actually get most of them twice.
Booster shots.
Think of it as
Yeah.
Minesweeper. Like, the people who are vaccinated are the bombs, right? And the people who aren't vaccinated are the flags, and it's harder to get to the flags if there's more bombs.
Right.
Boom! Nerd reference. Nerdaphore?
I'm going to go with it. But,
worked.
Yeah, it works. And you know, the thing is that given our herd immunity, are taking our vaccines or being given our vaccines, we don't take vaccines. Okay, there used to be oral vaccines like polio, but we know it's now a shot for us.
Well, we'll see. Though the anti-vaxxers might bring that one back, too.
But the thing is that there are people out there who, due to legitimate problems with their immune systems that they could be born with, cannot have vaccines because the vaccine itself is too dangerous for them to have.
I have this article saved that's about a little boy who's in kindergarten who had leukemia.
Yeah.
And he's in remission and he's back in school. And the school that he's in is in California, and it has the highest rate of unvaccinated children. So they had to work with school officials to make sure that all the kids in his class are vaccinated. Yeah. And his dad wants to make it, like, the way he said it is, your kid can't bring my kid can't bring peanuts to school because somebody might be allergic to them, but your kid can bring these diseases that will kill my child.
Yeah.
Which I wish more people saw it that way because it's stupid. I get that it's your choice, but it's not.
Yeah. The thing is
You're being
that
selfish
yeah, you're being an idiot.
and trendy
If you
because
are
measles is fucking hip.
Have you punched an Axie-Venter today?
An anti-vaxxer?
But the thing is that
What I was thinking, not what I said. I don't know.
What my brain said, not what my mouth said.
Yeah.
But the thing is that without the vaccinations, I guess that will help us get rid of the anti-vaxxer movement slowly.
I'm looking at it as Darwinism, but at the same
thing
time,
is
it
that-
affects
Yeah,
other
but you
people.
can't.
But see,
You can't hold that against the children who are.
But
No,
see,
you
that's the thing
can't.
is you can't hold it against the children, and they're the ones who are going to suffer.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because their parents think
I know.
that they don't need vaccines. And the thing is like,
If you could go back in time and make the parents not get their shots, then
yeah.
You know.
But the thing is that like, if you have, like, these children are also going to be, in some ways, trapped in America for their entire lives.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't go to Canada, even. You can't go to Europe. You can't go to you can't go to most Asian nations, or you can't go to Japan or Korea, at least, and probably Australia, without having vaccination records on your passport.
Can't you get them at that time though?
You can, and also when you are going to certain countries around the world that have
There's
things,
specific ones.
there's specific ones you get to help keep yourself safe from something you might get over there.
Right.
Like, we don't worry about malaria too much here in America. We're just not in the climate to get malaria.
Mm-hmm.
However, if you're going to Africa, you get shots versus malaria before you leave. But like, if they don't have their standard vaccines that are given worldwide, you know, because like, there's a lot of countries where it's mandatory. The parents don't have a choice.
I'm sorry, that's how it should be.
You know, be damned your religion, your religious views or whatever. You don't have a choice. You want your kid to enjoy public school? Cool. They're vaccinated.
That's how it should be, because if your kid's not vaccinated, they're
They're the
endangering other kids. Yeah.
I would also like to think, though, especially if you want to bring up the religion aspect of it, I would like to think that.
Well, there's a lot of people who
that-
claim religion as the reason not to get
Yeah.
the vaccination.
But I would also like to think that if our God was awesome, He would grant us the empowerment to come up with this shit. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, okay, granted, is
Save
everyone,
yourselves, boy.
you know, as everyone knows, I'm an atheist, but
Ditto.
But if there is a God,
if there is but like, I can't see a God, like, at least one worth worshiping, in my opinion, that would stunt our ability to have our free will and then exercise it in a way that is beneficial to the whole of humanity.
okay, help me out here. Help me remember the actor's name.
You got to tell
He's
us
friends
what
with Hugh Laurie.
Stephen Fry.
Stephen Fry. He did an interview about being
Oh,
an
bit of Fry and
atheist.
Laurie.
About being an atheist recently.
Yeah.
Most insightful thing I've heard all day. It was like 2 minutes long, and I was just like, "Fuck!" Mind blown.
Yeah.
Like he's like. It was just about. Sorry, this podcast just took a weird turn.
That's okay.
It always does.
Yeah, I know, but like how he couldn't basically see. Like, I couldn't see myself worshiping a God that would bring all this upon the human race.
Right.
Basically, being an asshole.
There's actually an old philosophy argument that religious people do not like.
Damn you, philosophers!
You know, it's a simple series of questions. Is God omniscient?
Oh yeah, and that was the other thing he didn't like, is that God wasn't he wasn't infallible.
Right. Well, so to see, the thing is is God omniscient? Is God omnipotent? Is God all? I can't remember all creating.
Right.
So if God has these properties, could God create a rock that God himself could not lift? So if he's omniscient, or if he has the ability, if he's all creating, he has that ability. However, if he's also omnipotent, in other words, completely strong, he has the ability to lift anything. So there's a contradiction there.
Mm-hmm.
But another one is, can God stop all the suffering on the world? If he can, why doesn't he? Because if he cannot stop all the suffering in the world, therefore he's an imperfect being, and therefore not a God worth worshiping. If he can and chooses not to, he is not an all-merciful being, therefore not perfect, and also it being therefore flawed, and is not worth worshiping.
Stephen Fry also brought up the fact, he's like, but if I were going to worship any gods, it would be the Greek gods, because they were humanized and
Yes.
were definitely not infallible.
Right.
I
And the
feel
go-
the
and the-
same way.
Well, that's the thing about a lot of.
And the Norse gods.
I would say
were
a lot
pretty
of the pagan or the polytheistic and pantheistic religions. The gods are wholly fallible. They're more powerful than humans, but they are wholly fallible.
And a lot of them are jackasses.
Yep.
That
Who
was
the
the
fuck
Greek.
disguises themselves as a bull and then goes and rapes a lady and makes a weird Minotaur kid?
The lady, okay. On Zeus's defense on that
Okay, it
one,
wasn't rape, but
she was dressed up as a cow to get the bull to come to her.
oh, I forgot that part of the story. Yeah, you're right. Okay.
In Zeus's defense on that.
I don't
one.
think that's in anyone's defense. That poor Minotaur didn't stand a chance.
No, and
Zeus
well, you
is
think
letting-
of the children, the poor Minotaur locked in the labyrinth his entire life. No wonder he was pissed off and tried to kill everyone that
Yeah,
came
no
in.
shit. He was probably just trying to get out.
Yeah. How'd you find your way in? And they don't understand it. They
Answer
freak
me!
out.
Oh,
And,
no, I ran you over.
Sanctuary.
You know, it was horrible. But
He just wanted to get his bovine on. That's all I'm saying.
oh,
Want to get his quarter pounder with cheese.
Don't forget that special sauce.
to all beef patties.
Sesame seed pie.
Oh,
We should do news.
who wants a Big Mac?
Podcast over.
I just had one the other day, but not like what you're talking about.
So thrown in a restaurant with a Minotaur now. I can't.
I'll put it to you right now. My character will not be hungry at that restaurant, or any restaurant within 50 miles of that restaurant.
Basically, if a restaurant pops up in our future, I'm not having it.
So yeah. Anyway,
But Dustin will ask if there's any underground fights.
versus a Minotaur.
Is there a Minotaur I can punch around here?
But yeah. In all seriousness,
Get your
get
kids
your
vaccinated.
kids vaccinated. It's
Not just for their
not
sake.
just for their sake, but for the sake of everyone. It is not. It is a selfless act, or at least if it is not selfless, it is at least enlightened self-interest, because it helps more than just you. It helps all of humanity.
Mic
And your
drop.
kids might want to, visit
Live.
another country and live one
but
of these days.
Not be bound to a wheelchair.
yeah,
Or
or iron
blind.
lung if polio comes
Or
back.
blind.
Yeah.
Measles can cause blindness.
Yeah,
Yeah, don't drop my mics. They're kind of...
I wasn't really going to drop it. That's why I said mic drop.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought she was going to drop me. That's okay.
Drop kick.
Oh,
Mic drop kick.
Well, but
So
I'm not really going to drop kick you, Mike. I don't even think I could drop kick anyone.
yeah. So anyway, there we go. That's number one.
I can barely tie my shoes.
and then we're going to go around, right? And then come back to the
Yes.
second one?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so my story is way more lighthearted than that. Super awesome first half of the show. Science is awesome.
We have established that on multiple
Well, I
occasions.
know, but science has proven that dogs can tell the difference between facial expressions in the human face. Like,
I thought that was just assumed.
well, I mean, it's...
There's a difference between assuming.
I'm
and
guessing there
proving
was
it.
a pseudoscience behind it at some point.
Can I tell my
Yeah,
story?
go ahead, sorry.
So it's kind of like with cats, how people have always said their animals can sense when they're upset. Just because people say it doesn't mean it's true. These dogs were trained by people to either react to the mouth looking upset or the eyes looking upset. And then what they did is they showed on a touchscreen computer the other opposite half of what the dogs were trained with. So if they were trained with the eyes, they'd show the mouth of the trainer specifically. And then the dogs would touch the one that was happy. Mm-hmm. And then they also trained them by showing them jumbled up parts of other faces they've never seen before. And the dogs knew shit. Like, even, like, they can tell if you're happy or angry. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much the end of that, because it wants me to subscribe to Science News to watch it all. But it's super awesome, and it shows these dogs looking at this touchscreen like, oh, hey, person, how you feeling?
So what was the primary reason for the science?
Just understanding dog
Understanding
brains.
how dog brains work.
If you understand how animals' brains work, you can train them better and understand how you work better. So, I mean, science for the sake of science. My biology professor put it a really good way. A lot of people argue that science for the sake of science is a waste of money, but really we just learn things we don't know how to use yet. Like, we discovered radio waves way before we figured out how to use them for communication.
Then we learned how to use them, and we got awesome stuff like, radio.
Yeah, and walkie-talkies.
Yeah.
And cell phones.
So, science for the sake of science is good.
Yes.
We might not understand how to use things right now, but it's like solving a puzzle. You need to find all the pieces to figure out what it's a
Yes.
picture of. And if you don't look for the pieces, you can't sit there and bitch about how you don't have your fucking hoverboards.
Or yeah.
The end.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Back to the Future.
I'm not bitter about that. It's 2015.
I'm just saying, they did finally come out with auto-lacing shoes.
Yeah. I still want
What,
the
the
hoverboard
fucking
more.
Velcro ones?
The ones that go...
That's oh, with the little squeegee. That's not auto lacing though. It's
Well, they called them auto laces because it's the little strap that you hit a button and it tightens around your ankle.
I haven't seen that.
Nike finally stepped up to the
I
plate.
just mentioned that I have difficulty tying my own shoes because my legs aren't that flexible anymore. So I have to look into.
Just
some
know
of
when
those.
you get those, you're gonna look like you're walking around in 1988.
I don't care. You say that like it's a bad thing. If it gets
So-
me auto lacing shoes and a hoverboard, fuck yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, the science for science's sake thing, we need to do science simply for the science with no targeted goal of
People don't get
a
that
viable
anymore.
product or something like that.
Knowledge is good.
Knowledge is the key, and if the thing is that when a chemist or a physicist or a biologist or an anthropologist or any science you can think of, when they make a discovery and they put it out there in the world to be tested by other scientists and then have that discovery proven, all these other people who read that journal that it was published in, all of those people's students, for years to come, all start learning that.
And they're all going to think of
And
applications.
they're all going to think about it, and someone, somewhere,
We'll apply it.
will find an application for it. Maybe not now. Maybe not in 50 years. Maybe it takes 100 years. But because that was discovered, there will eventually be some form of application that can do something
We'll
positive.
translate
Well,
to actually like figuring out how dogs bark can be translated into human speak.
Well, they've, I think, figured that out. Don't they have something that does that?
I don't know, actually.
But there's this dog.
But yes, that is possible. That is a possibility.
There's this dog that her name's Ruby, and she's the dog being raised by science. I was reading this article earlier today because I follow a lot of animal pages. Big surprise. But so this lady's a scientist, and she actually studies canine behavior. And she adopted this dog, and he's a wolfhound, which I love those. They're so cool looking.
Yeah.
And her name's Ruby, and she's only 5 months old, but she's big, so it's easy to forget
Wolfhound.
that she's a wolfhound. Sorry, what did I say?
No,
Oh.
wolfhound.
Yeah,
they're
because she's-
huge.
yeah. And they are, like, they got her as a tiny, tiny abandoned puppy, and they're raising her using all the science currently available on animal behavior and dog training. And right now it's just an experiment for the sake of science.
Yeah.
But it could lead to a lot of really useful insights. Like
Yeah.
this dog from the get-go is being trained using the things that we currently know about dog training. Like the height of, like, she reads all these journals and, it's
And consider,
Interesting.
well, and if you
going to
consider
be an awesome dog.
considering what we can train dogs to do now, using what are essentially imperfect methods.
Yeah.
Now, if you start learning to train a dog using the highest level training methods that are out there, seeing how Ruby comes out, because also wolfhounds are a smart breed.
Yeah, that helps.
So they have Caesar Milan at that office?
No. That man is actually really,
That man's ridiculous.
yeah, not good at, he's a pit bull advocate, so I don't want to say bad things about him, but he's not that good at what he
Well,
does.
the bully breeds are all actually pretty sweet dogs, unless
And
you
they're
train
very
them to
smart.
be jerks.
Exactly. They're dogs. They don't
Yeah.
want to be bad. They want to be good.
They want to be a good member of the pack.
Exactly.
And if you tell them be aggressive, they're like, okay,
yeah,
but
they're pack animals.
Yeah.
You're their leader. They're going to do what you want them to do.
yeah. So, but if Ruby works out, essentially, as the science experiment part, I'm sure they're going to love her as a pet.
Yeah,
But-
well, and they're not planning on publishing their findings or anything like
But-
that. They've got a blog
Right.
called
but,
for like, "Do you believe in dog?" or something hilarious like that.
But if everything works out, and as with the science of it, even if they don't
Well,
publish,
and they're figuring out the stuff that doesn't work too.
right, they're figuring out right exactly. So we become better at training dogs. We can get dogs to be not necessarily do more jobs than they do for us now,
Do them
but
better.
do them better, do them more efficiently, train them so they can do it starting at a younger age, so you can have that same dog longer.
Like, if you had a dog and it peed inside your house, what would you do?
I have no idea.
You don't know how you'd react to the dog?
Well, I'd probably be initially kind of angry.
You'd probably scold it, send it outside,
Yeah,
put it in its
probably.
kennel, something like that. They've proven that doesn't do any good.
The dog doesn't know why. he
The
gets
dog
in
doesn't
trouble.
understand that they're being punished. They can tell that's one of the things that they were talking about, is that most people still think that punishing your dog for using the restroom inside is helpful in potty training, but it actually has the opposite effect. Dogs, because they want to please you, respond better if you praise them for the things that you like than they do
Yeah.
if you.
So when you take the dog outside and it goes to the bathroom outside, you tell it how good of a dog it is, and you pet it, and you rub its ears, play with it. But then you don't scold it.
'Cause they don't understand that.
They don't understand negative. Dogs don't understand negative reinforcement, really. There's some negative reinforcement they understand, but that's usually in dominance issues.
And it
Basically,
usually
you got to give them a
involves
smack
physical,
down every
yeah.
once in a while, and you have to physically stop them. And usually, it's only if the dog feels like it can challenge.
Because they're pack animals.
Yeah. So they want to move up the hierarchy if they can, but if they firmly realize they are not top dog, as it were, pun intended, they won't try. But if they think they have a shot at it, they will try to move up in the pack.
Which I can vouch for. Circus has pretty much decided he's ahead of me in our pack.
Okay.
I don't care. He's not my dog. But,
Yeah.
yeah, he's pretty much decided he's the boss of me.
Okay.
It's really annoying.
But yeah, so, but yeah, they most of the time dogs are purely positive reinforcement animals, and cats they don't give a fuck.
Well, see, that's another thing. That's another misconception, though.
I know they do.
And they've actually proven that cats can, in fact, tell when you're upset. They can sense your pheromone levels.
Yeah.
And they'll come over and comfort you. Like, they really do. Even Zeus, and he's a giant jackass. Mike knows. You've probably got a scar on your stomach, don't you? From when he gouged you when you were over at my house that day? Yeah.
Yep.
And he's still, like, if he can tell I'm upset about something.
Well,
he
there's a
comes
difference
over.
between telling you're upset and but cats are solitary creatures. They don't have a pack instinct.
Yeah, they don't.
So whereas humans, like all primates, we're pack creatures.
Which is so funny, though, because cats actually physically do better when they have another cat because they can't clean
Because
their
they
own
need
ears.
somebody to smack around.
No, they can't clean their own ears.
And cats' ears are very
They're
very
prone
susceptible to mites.
Yeah.
Among other
so
things.
when you have more than one cat, you'll notice that when they bathe each other, they clean each other's ears.
And that's their primary
yeah.
thing they do for each other.
Yeah,
is
so-
once it comes to cleaning.
You know.
Oh yeah,
that's-
I can vouch for that one. My girls do it all the time.
Yeah. Raisin is a very good sister mom to Zeus, and she always gives his ears a bath, and he just sits there and just takes it like a champ, and it's really cute. But he looks like a little kid who's like, "Stop it, mom."
You're embarrassing me.
Yeah.
The humans are awake.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Animal behavior is really. I mean, I'm fascinated by a lot of things. I'm a
Yeah.
nerd, but
Yeah.
animal behavior is one of those things that's just.
So I'm going to attempt to make Nikki cry really quick.
I might punch you.
In a good way.
Okay.
Happy cries.
Oh, I like happy cries.
So up at Central Washington University,
My brother went there.
they have a chimpanzee habitat.
I've seen it.
Have you gone on the tour?
No,
You have to go on the
it was
tour.
closed when
You
I was
have
there.
to go on the tour sometime.
Okay, I know it knows sign language.
They all know sign language. Washoe taught the rest of them.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, Washoe was taught sign language, and she taught all the other chimps sign language so they could communicate with the humans.
Okay, that's cool.
And at one point, Washoe had lost her baby. It was their baby chimp. It ended up dying of natural causes. And she was really sad for a long time about it.
It was her baby.
It was her baby, and then they got her. They found a baby chimp that they adopted into
The Habitat.
The Habitat.
You might succeed.
Oh, this is only the setup. I'm not even to the story yet.
Yeah.
Oh God.
So they kept telling Washoe they were going to have another baby for her. And she was like, my baby, just really excited and just constantly signing my baby, my baby. And then they brought it to her and she rejected it at first. It wasn't her baby. She thought she was getting her, actual child back. And then over the course of a week, she warmed up to it and accepted it as her baby and raised him. And then a few years later, after he was a teenager in chimpy years, chimps grow up faster than humans
I
do.
like chimpy years.
Me too.
There was one of the grad students who was there, who was married and had gotten pregnant. And Washoe was really interested in her pregnancy. And she was always baby and, pointing at her stomach and stuff. And Washoe figured out that she was pregnant on her own. That the grad student was pregnant. Like, they never talked to her about it, never told her, but she figured it out. Then her and the grad student started talking about it. And then the grad student wasn't there for a little while. What had happened was that she had gotten into a car wreck and had ended up having a miscarriage and was also injured herself. And when she came back, her stomach was flat again because she hadn't had a child for a few weeks. And Washoe was like, "Where's your baby? I want to see your baby." And she had to sit down. She sat down and explained to Washoe, "I don't have a baby. It died." And like Washoe would she wasn't she got kind of confused for a second. Well, not really confused, but it was like processing. And she would
Making the connection.
And she was like, "Baby," and then she would say, "No, baby," back to Washoe. Washoe, sorry, not Washi, Washoe. It's important it is her name. And then Washoe would run to the other corner of the enclosure they were both in, talking to each other, and just kind of sit there, not looking at her for a second, and then run back and baby, and did this they went through this a few times. And then Washoe came up and sat down next to the grad student and put her arms around her, because chimps have really long arms, so she could just sit there and reach her all the way around her and just held her. And the grad student broke down crying because she was being comforted by Washoe. And so, animal behavior, for a long time we thought chimps were dumb. They're not. They're really intelligent. They're much closer to us than a lot of people want to admit. And, Washoe is one of those examples that shows how smart that they are. And
Coco the gorilla.
And Coco, yes.
I am obsessed with Coco. I had a book about her when I was a little kid, and about how her first kitten died.
Yeah.
And they got her a new one, and now they just give her kittens to raise.
Yeah.
And I love that so much.
I'd also like to point out that the story is also being told while Mason's wearing his 98% chimp shirt.
Oh,
Damn proud of it, too.
Yes. But, that's the thing is
That's really sweet. I've never heard that story.
Yeah. And yeah, all the chimps there at Central Washington have their own personalities. They're all very different. One of them is obsessed with shoes. And they actually get basketball players to donate their used shoes, after they've
Because their feet are big enough.
And he can put them on his own feet because the basketball player shoes are big enough, whereas any normal person's are
Oh
nowhere
my
near
god,
close.
that's the cutest thing ever.
And when
Shaq 22s.
yeah, when I went there and went on the tour with some of the other members of my anthropology club back at Boise State, we were actually there for the Northwest NWAC, Northwest Anthropology Conference.
When was this?
6 years ago now, I think.
I think my brother was at school there then.
Oh,
You
they were on spring break.
Oh, okay.
Except for the anthropology department, because they were all there helping out at the conference. But we went there and we went on the tour, and one of my friends, she had on these 1980s neon blue pumps, little 2.5-inch heel pumps, and he was obsessed with these pumps. He just thought they were the greatest thing ever. And if he'll knock on the window and point at you, and then point at your feet if he wants to see your shoes. And he just kept looking at her and was like, she'd hold her shoes up, still wearing them, and he'd be like, kind of all happy and sorry, I'm making faces.
So he's a chimp with a foot fetish.
Basically, or shoe fetish.
Shoe fetish.
And he was just like amazed with her. He got sad. Like when we got up to leave, he knew we were leaving because they know the routine. And he was like, went and sulked.
Aww.
Because he couldn't get to see her shoes anymore.
I mean, it makes sense that would fascinate him, though, because that's not something they wear. And they're probably like, what is with those weird-looking monkeys with those things on their feet?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Like, it makes sense. I
Yeah.
think it's funny that he's so fixated on them, though.
Yeah. But, he loves, he gets shoes and he, wears them.
That's so cute.
And he organizes them. And,
Oh my gosh. I hope he has a shoe rack.
We're 98% chimp.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
we are fascinated in shoes, they very well could be too.
yeah. But, yeah, it's, and, it's like...
He's a fashionista. What can you say?
Yeah.
He's walking around in his chimp
He's
sign
a
language. I'm
chimpanista.
fabulous.
But...
I wish she would have given him those pumps.
Oh no, Aaron, her feet are small. They wouldn't have fit him.
Well, I'm not to wear, but it
But
would
I
have
meant
made
just
his
a
Well, he
hat.
tries to wear them all. It's the thing.
Oh.
Oh. Yeah, that would fail miserably.
They would have felt like they would have fit like his big toe.
It would have been like
She's
the
small.
stepsisters on Cinderella.
Yes, it
yeah.
would have. But yeah, so he animals. Granted, chimps are a great ape. We're a great ape. We're really close and fit. We're cousins. But any animal behavior we can learn and how to interact with them, how to better understand how they interact with each other. Like chimps learn really well. Like there's chimps in North Africa, like North Sub-Saharan Africa, so below the desert. But in northern Africa, there's chimps there. They hunt with spears.
I think we talked about this once
Yeah.
before, right?
Yeah, I think we have actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, they learned it from us.
I believe we talked about the island with, I don't remember if it was chimps or monkeys that eats a certain kind of squash that other ones don't,
Yeah,
because the people that visited there brought it with them.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
speaking of islands, there's apparently a couple islands in Japan that are completely infested with domesticated cats.
Yeah.
Just
I found
Cats.
my retirement home
everywhere.
I've seen pictures of. I assume it's the same place. There's just cats as far as the eye can see.
It's like
See,
Kauai and roosters
I'm
and
honestly
chickens.
surprised you haven't moved to Japan yet just to go to a cat cafe.
There's one in Portland, and I'm planning on visiting Sarah again this year,
Okay.
and we're going.
Okay.
It's okay. I'm on it.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah, no, I'm totally gonna cheat on Zeus while I'm there. It's fine. Oh, and he can tell when
He's
I
gonna
pet
come
other
back and
kitties.
go,
Oh yeah.
what the fuck is that?
I mean, even if it was like days before and I've traveled since, he's like, "You've been seeing other cats.
you've been petting other pussy, haven't you?
He doesn't talk like that.
But you know what I mean.
I
But-
do. I'm just giving you
No.
shit.
So anyway, yeah.
Somebody else's news.
Do I have news?
Yeah.
Oh. I was gonna say, if we're talking animals, I got another side news. Apparently there was a toucan in Chile, I think it was, that had become kind of like this little this little encampments, not an encampment, but what am I talking about? Just like a shanty town almost, basically. You know, like like 100 people or something like that. And this toucan had become this little town's mascot. And kids being kids decided to fucking throw rocks at this thing, and then
Kids being assholes.
and then beat it up, and it ended up losing basically the majority of its upper beak. And the picture of it is actually the doctor kind of cleaning it out and stuff like that and making it look better. So I mean, it's got all of its bottom bill, but its upper beak is only like about that. It's just a
What kind of
stub.
horrible fucking kid could do that to a bird
I
or
don't know.
anything?
Psychopaths.
Really,
Yeah, that's like a
bored bastard children.
sociopathic
but
tendencies.
but basically these veterinarians got a hold of it and they put out a call on, I don't know if it was Kickstarter or some sort of online thing, and
Probably GoFundMe. It's quicker.
maybe it was GoFundMe. That sounds familiar. And a bunch of universities jumped on it, and
Oh, yeah.
they're funding a like an $1,800 3D printed bill for this thing.
Oh,
They're gonna 3D printed a new toucan bill,
Nice.
and
all the pretty toucan colors.
no, maybe, I don't know. They didn't go into too many specifics.
Well, as a
but
toucan, that's an important part of their toucaniness.
I think they would.
If it was
And
me,
how they relate
I'd
to other
make it
birds.
all like McCulloch and he'd be like Cyber Toucan.
Yeah, but
chrome that
they like
bitch.
find mates, like their beaks. covered.
But who
those
knows
kids
if he had
come
like
around,
a
he
but if he
picks
had like
her eyes
a toucan beak, but like in metallic colors, he might find more mates.
Yeah.
Right, it'd be shiny.
Yeah.
All his,
He'd be pimp.
all his mates would be like, "Fuck, I can see myself in your bill." That's cool.
Bird's got bling.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean the story sucks, but it it's kind of bittersweet. But
Yeah.
the fact that this bird basically got funded, it's getting a new 3D printed bill. They're
really
saying it's
cool.
not the first time that an animal has had something funded for a new 3D print.
Fucking love
Other animals
3D
have gotten
printers.
legs and paws and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But
I would like to point out how just awesome 3D printing is.
I know
Again.
that I wasn't going to do this story, but we're talking about 3D printers. There's a pen that lets you. It's like the 3 doodler, but it lets you do it in chocolate. That's it.
I would just
that's
sit there and
the
be
end.
like,
I know exactly
over my mouth the
I
whole
would
time.
Probably,
I would never get
you
anything.
would just follow it. Just
I would
It'd
never
be
get
like
anything
Harold's
made.
purple crayon, if you guys are familiar with that. Yeah. I would doodle all the things and
That'd
then
be great
eat
for
them.
all the things.
Yeah.
that'd
Yeah.
be great for cake decorators.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
And-
yeah.
and
You could even do like a wireframe, like 20-sided die or something like that
Yeah.
that'd be pretty sweet.
for the top of like a nerdy cake. Yeah.
Anyway, my real
Nice.
news
Yeah.
is the U.S. Postal Service is finally, after 27 years of horrible gas mileage and hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars in maintenance costs, are finally getting rid of their little box vehicles for delivery service. They've it's no secret that the mail service hasn't exactly been making a lot of money the last few years.
Yeah.
Stamp prices are still going up, and normal mail is kind of
Slow.
it's slow and it's archaic. I mean, it's archaic.
It's not Amazon Prime.
Yeah, it's on Amazon Prime. It's not FedEx. It's not. You know what I mean. So, but the U.S. Postal Service has seen a 20% jump in its parcel service.
That's because they're actually more reliable with their parcel
More
service
reliable
than anybody else.
and it's cheaper.
Yeah.
It's like $6
if it fits the chips.
Yeah, exactly. So, FedEx is also starting something like that, where it's like an $8 flat rate, but postal service is still cheaper. Anyway, so what's cool about this is they got 180,000 vehicles that they have to replace, or what they're looking for is 180,000 vehicles. It's possibly for the manufacturer, this could be basically a $500 billion in revenue if they bid for this contract.
Excuse me.
GM was the one who built the cars last time. It's basically the current vehicles are basically a modified Chevy S10
Yeah.
with a box shell on it,
Yeah.
And so they're 27 years old. They're guzzling gas. They get like 10 miles to the gallon because of their stop and go type of system. So they're chugging gas, constant maintenance on them. So basically what they're doing is they're putting out a bid. So in the long run, this will save them money, even though they got to drop the bill first.
But
It won't take very long for that to be worth it.
They've already burned through all their federal credit, so they can't do too much with it otherwise. So what they're going to do is they're going to they're basically putting the call out, and because their parcel service is picking up, they need slightly bigger vehicles, but they also need more fuel efficient vehicles. So GM, Chevy, Nissan, and who's the Fiat manufacturer? Oh, Chrysler. Fiat Chrysler. This is Ford Motor Company, Nissan Motor Company, and Fiat Chrysler Automobiles have recently put out commercial delivery vans in the U.S. and have higher fuel economy than outgoing models. Nissan said it isn't involved yet. GM spokesman Bob Wheeler said that the Postal Service is an important customer. We are in an early process of exploring potential solutions that would work for their needs. Chrysler spokesman Nick Kappa confirmed FCA US has received a request for information and said we are reviewing it. Why you wouldn't try and jump on this, I have no idea. Yeah. Let's see.
I was gonna say if I was a car manufacturer, I would be on it real quick.
Government contract? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's not a government contract. The U.S. Postal Service is actually not part of our government.
Oh, it's independent. That's right.
It is independent, but it's the U.S. Postal Service. And honestly, the vehicle I would design would essentially be an SUV-esque vehicle.
Yeah, that's what they're looking for. It's a van, basically.
Basically a van, and I would have it. I would still design it so they had the door or an entrance into the back, like they do on the current one, just longer, because the postal trucks are pretty short. You could do a significantly longer vehicle and still be within the regular C-class license for driving. And what I would do is I would make it a diesel-electric hybrid where the diesel engine is purely a generator. So that way, you actually have 4 electric motors, one on each wheel, that drive the vehicle, and then a battery bank, obviously, because it's an electric, and then the diesel engine, all it's for is refilling the batteries, and then you also have brake force generators that help recharge the battery.
Those are the coolest invention.
Recharge the battery from the brake also, but yeah. Because using a diesel engine solely as a generator with no actual impact, with no direct touch, with no way it directly touches the ground, basically, because like a normal engine effectively touches the ground through the tires, which is not the only source of wear on an engine, but it causes wear on an engine. So you remove that, you remove wear from the engine. And also diesel engines, actually even better, a diesel rotary engine is the generator.
Well, the thing with diesel is you could then use biodiesel. So if they wanted to, they could take like recycled French fry oil and run off that. And
what I think would
money.
be interesting though is if they got the Tesla company mixed into it and installed chargers at each of the delivery offices.
Yeah,
that would be fucking amazing.
And Elon would be all for it, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure.
But and the thing is, you've used a rotary engine like an RX-7 has. That means even less moving parts. So you have less breakage that way, and rotary engines are incredibly simple and lightweight. So
the only problem is how much does a Tesla vehicle cost?
Lots.
Teslas are around $100,000.
However, I believe the plans are just available out there for anyone, so they could find somebody who could underbid that.
Yeah.
Well, they're looking for 180,000 vehicles at about $25,000 to $35,000. They said so. The actual proposal is for some 180,000 next generation delivery vehicles, which would over time replace the 160,000 right-hand drive light-duty mail delivery trucks now in use. The service says the trucks should ideally cost between $25,000 to $35,000. The current fleet, which consists mostly of custom aluminum Grumman body on a modified Chevy S10 pickup chassis, was purchased between 1987 and 1994. GM stopped making the trucks more than a decade ago. Most of the trucks are more than 21 years old, and everything from the windshield wipers to failing engines are draining resources.
Right.
So I think I just solved their problem. Now it's just going to get someone to make it under budget.
Okay.
And they still make it a right-hand drive because
it's logical for what they're doing.
It's logical for what they're doing.
Do you know why we have left-hand drive and England has and other countries have right-hand drive?
Arbitrary.
Huh?
It's arbitrary.
Oh.
And also, you've got to remember, like England and Japan drive on the other side of the road.
Well, yeah, but I'm wondering why
it's essentially arbitrary. Because
why they started doing
England,
that.
Japan, and Australia are weird and do it wrong, and everyone else drives on the correct side of the road.
Okay.
And then it goes on and says the old trucks were designed to deliver letters. Today, in an era of e-commerce, the service delivers more packages, and its parcel business has increased more than 20% over the past 5 years. The new vehicles will likely need to be larger, but they will also be more comfortable and have better. Yeah, I don't know if you've ever seen the interior of one of those.
They're not
the most comfortable looking motherfuckers.
Not exactly well insulated against the elements either.
No.
Come rain, come snow, come sleet, come hail.
They're
we're fucking freezing our asses off.
They're just harkening
Or
back to
sweating
their
our
old.
asses off.
Yeah.
They're just harkening back to their old horse delivery days with
I
that.
guess.
Yeah.
The new vehicles will likely need to be larger, but they also need more comfortable and have better engines and safety equipment. According to the request, the current trucks don't have anti-lock brakes, airbags, electronic stability control, and a host of other safety items that are now standard. But like the rest of the car buying world, letter carriers want better cup holders too. Not only that, but they also want driver compartments without crevices that mail might slip through, and sturdy sun visors that can handle having letters stuffed under them. I don't know if that's a joke or not.
No, if you ever watch a letter carrier, they often have mail lined up in their visor.
Oh, ready for just dropping in.
Yeah, so they need to have like just like a shelf system built in
Right
right
there,
above
yeah.
their driving area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
So
they
they have
also,
more
I'm
lined
sure,
up.
use the visors a lot since they're driving around all day.
Oh yeah.
So
I mean,
they
so they
need
don't
to
have
be
to
able
use their
to
visors
stand.
for it.
But what I'm saying is the hinge needs to be able to stand up to a lot more wear and tear than the average vehicle.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, they just need to make a true like a hybrid or a true electric or a hydrogen cell vehicle. Like I think it's Mitsubishi has like an awesome working hydrogen cell vehicle.
Oh, they have this too. It says the Postal Service currently operates a fleet of more than 42,000 alternative fuel-capable vehicles, most of which are equipped to use E85 fuel. I'm not sure what that is.
Ethanol 85. It's 85% ethanol.
In addition, USPS tests and operates electric, compressed natural gas, liquid propane gas, fuel cell, and biodiesel vehicles.
But you just got to go over to the alternative energy sources, probably a hybrid, and go from there. I mean, yeah, they have a budget, but a gasoline and the thing is, E85 would even be fine. It's 85% ethanol, and if you tune the vehicle to run on E85, it's actually more fuel efficient with both miles per gallon and power to weight of the fuel than a gasoline powered vehicle. It has to be tuned for it, but you can do it.
Nonetheless, I'm all for it. Mm-hmm. And they'll make some of that money back by selling the actual mail trucks. There's going to be some trendy motherfuckers out there that are going to want to get their hands on one of those.
Yeah.
Be kind of a fun camping vehicle.
I've seen
By trendy motherfuckers, you mean hipsters.
I do, and I've seen at least one or two tricked out old mail trucks running around Boise that are now owned by people.
Here's my thing. I've always wanted to buy a short bus for camping because you could use the wheelchair lift to lower down a barbecue, shit like that, fit out the inside like an RV. Be awesome. A mail truck would be a really good smaller scale one.
Yeah.
Like just have
You wanna
like a
go
bed
on
in the
camping
back
trip
and
with just one or two people.
Yeah. Or just by yourself. Something a little more secure than a tent. Be a cool idea.
Yeah, bear can't swat over a vehicle. Well, it probably could, but
No, bear can knock over.
he
No,
could
bear's
probably
claw would go
break
right
through
through the
that, yeah.
aluminum side. So.
But it would make you feel better and it would deter some people, probably.
probably roll by it and go, oh, look, sardines.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it'd be a fun camping vehicle. Shit, I'd buy one.
So just going to throw this out there. Postal drone.
Amazon.
Yeah, I was saying Amazon already has them.
And they've already come across some issues with that recently with airlines.
Yeah.
I saw a report
Saying,
on it today, actually.
I would work for the postal department if we could make that.
Can I operate one of these, please?
They'd be like, I don't like the gleam in your eye. No.
Yeah.
You're scaring us.
Now just think about going postal with that, though.
Oh, God. Technically, if they're postal drones, haven't they already gone postal?
Zing.
Well,
Mike, you have news?
I have news, don't I?
Yeah, that was it, by the way.
I figured because there was silent.
I look forward
There.
to seeing our new robot overlords delivering mail.
Yay! All hail the robot overlords.
They put the mail in the box. I'll be back. Oh shit! Run!
Oh, wait, no, it's okay. Tomorrow's Sunday.
Oh, yeah. Don't worry. They can't take over tomorrow. Why? It's Sunday. Wait, isn't it a 4-day weekend? Yeah, we got 2 days to get ready.
Boy.
But it's not a national holiday. No!
It's kind of old news now, but, we've been away for a while. Net neutrality wins.
Yay. And not only
Anybody
that-
who hasn't, yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Anybody who's not heard, FCC is basically proposing to make, damn it, what's the word for it?
Utility.
again? Utility,
Yeah.
yes.
Internet a
is going to be a
utility.
utility. That's what they're pushing for. So, yeah, it means that Comcast, AT&T, Verizon, none of these companies will be able to do any type of limitations on the service.
They've also declared that broadband is 25 gigs or greater, up and or down, and 10, I believe, up.
10 up?
Yeah,
That's
10
nice
or,
because 5 is like
10 or 15
less
up.
than the
Yeah.
standard right now. So
Yeah. Granted, that's still nowhere near close to Korea, but
Not everything's about Korea, Mason.
when it comes to fast internet, it is.
Oh, okay.
You know, we haven't heard anything about K-pop recently out of Mason.
Damn it, Dustin. Oh, Mason got really excited for a second there. Let's let Mike finish his story.
And I still have another one to do too.
Pretty much.
It's a long news show.
Honestly, that's pretty much it. I mean, it's just that there's a story with words that will be in the show notes. You can go ahead and take a look over that if you want some more detail. But net neutrality wins, yay.
Net neutrality wins, and because it's regulated as a utility,
Carriers are pissed.
carriers are pissed. But that's okay. That means they're going to have to follow federal regulations and can't discriminate, can't screw people over. Yeah, there's actually a lot of good that comes out of it. Granted, they will still be able to do things like the phone company does because the phone is a utility, or at least landlines are utilities, where they can have options. So, like when you get a phone, the basic line has a cost to it, and then if you want to add call waiting or voicemail, etc., those cost more. So they can still have different plans at different speeds and cost more for the higher speeds. But they can no longer try to double dip and like charge, like when I think it was Comcast or Verizon, I can't remember which one of those two it was, but they started limiting the bandwidth that Netflix could use to send stuff to their customers. It was Verizon. They can't do that because the phone companies can't tell you what you can and can't talk about on the phone.
There was actually a funny.
The providers can and cannot tell you what you can and can't look at on the internet.
There was actually a funny past story that happened a few months ago based on that. Was Netflix was actually kind of poking at Verizon a little bit because if your videos were buffering and it senses that you had a Verizon ISP,
Yeah.
it would actually pop up and say something like, your service provider isn't allowing you enough to...
Yeah.
It was like a direct jab right at Verizon. It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, directly off the Netflix website, too.
Yeah.
It was basically your service provider's fucking you over.
Yeah.
Without actually saying it was Verizon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it specifically said Verizon.
Oh,
I've
did it
seen
say Verizon on it?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Verizon
I was
was like
working
basically throttling
Verizon
your...
technical support at the time, so yeah, I got to see it.
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah. No, Verizon deserved it because
I
they
agree.
were trying to double dip, and that's not a ethical business practice. And I know businesses are there to make money. That's what they're to.
Doesn't mean they have to be us.
But
But you can make money ethically.
But you can make money ethically. You may not make as much ethically, but in the long run,
You made it ethically.
but you made it ethically, and the more companies that act ethically in business, the better business will be. You know, because you won't have things like customer distrust if you're always ethical with people. So, yeah.
In other words,
Yeah.
How again?
That needs
Sorry,
to be
one more
like
time,
a
I missed it.
notification.
You get a text message from Dustin, it just goes, "Durr."
Yeah, good. We haven't recorded. You need to edit that out for us
Please.
because I need that for my text message for when my messaging for whenever
Should
you
make
get
that
ahold of me.
available as a download from the website.
Please do.
Okay,
hey, Mason just did it too, so...
yours was better.
Yours was way
Yeah.
better. Sorry, buddy. You're better at "Durr."
So for this last news piece, have you ever sat there and boiled an egg and
No, I'm usually
realized?
standing when I boil it.
are standing there when you boil an egg and go, damn it, I didn't want to boil this egg.
Don't you mean scramble?
No,
No, hard boil.
he's reading the story right now.
Oh, I thought it was scramble.
No,
No, it's hard boil.
maybe
Oh,
your
okay.
brain's scrambled.
Maybe
Well-
it is.
Okay.
I did have a Red Bull.
Yeah, I'll do it.
And the wings are gone.
Yeah.
So yeah. So anyway, some of those wacky food scientists and chemists over at the University of California, Irvine, and some Australian fellows of theirs. That's not being rude. A fellow is an appropriate
It's a word.
academic term.
He's not being sexist. It's okay.
Yeah. Have figured out how to, well, unboil at least the whites of that egg for you.
Science.
Yeah.
Bitches.
Basically, they have figured out how to take the proteins that are in the boiled egg, in the white, which have become denatured and tangled with each other. That's why the white is solid at that point. And the heat causes that. The heat denatures the proteins, causing them to coagulate
We learned that in
the hardened,
biology too.
into the hardened white.
Acidic things do the same thing. They
Yes.
denature it.
Which is why ceviche works and is actually a cooked food. It's just cooked by the acids, not by heat.
Which is really delicious, by the way. I know Mason would probably hate it, but
I would hate it. It's fish.
Yeah.
ceviche is really good.
I'm with Mason.
So,
Oh my
but
god, that should be a t-shirt.
What's the Japanese?
I'm with Mason.
Poke. Poke is really good too. It's kind of the same
Mon?
deal.
oh yes, okay, yeah. Click. Poke. It's a Japanese dish.
I
It's basically ceviche.
Yeah, it's like Japanese ceviche.
know I was making Pokemon jokes. I get
Oh.
it. God, ruin it.
There was a Samurai Pizza Cats character named Speedy Ceviche.
No, it's fine.
So yeah,
God.
yeah. So basically, blah blah blah. They
Blah,
figure
blah,
they
science.
have figured out. They have basically what they figured out how to do is take and basically renature the proteins so they coil back up and don't hold on to each other.
Science.
And for those of you going, gee, I know we just heard something about science for science's sake, but this actually has some already practical applications, such as being able to make it so you can take because like when you do stuff for when you have protein based drugs and things like that, there's a lot of waste because of the proteins getting denatured during the creation process. Only some of them make it through the way they're supposed to.
Tell them what denatured means. You can't. Never mind. I just wanted more science.
Nikki, it's okay. You're more science than me.
Basically, denatured means that they kind of basically open up and can get tangled up with each other.
I knew that. I needed to clarify for people that might
Yes.
not.
So that's what denatured means. And basically, when they renature the proteins, they kind of separate and then collapse back into on themselves, so they can't
Like
stick
springs.
together, like springs. Yes. So like for example, there are some cancer treatments that are made out of proteins. Well, you can now make the cancer treatments cheaper because you can use more of it because you can renature those proteins and you make them into the viable drug instead of waste. And then there is possible uses in the food industry, to
Like, I didn't mean to boil that egg. I better
no,
take
that
care of
will.
it.
The thing is that they can't do it to the yolk.
Maybe they just want an egg white omelet, and you accidentally boiled the egg.
Well,
Be a not easy way
way.
to separate out the egg and the
Isn't
yolk.
this some sort of chemical process, though, that they're using to deboil the egg? Yeah, because I don't think we'd want to eat the...
no, it's perfectly safe, actually.
It is.
Yep. It takes about 4 minutes to denature the proteins.
So it takes as long to boil an egg as it does to unboil it.
Yep. And
Really excited.
yeah, so
How is that not exciting?
but there are uses in, for example, making, because like you could basically take milk, denature all the proteins, make it into a solid, and then which would then kill any bacteria that feed on the proteins and sugars in milk because they're now in a stable matrix that they can't eat. Okay, you're basically making cheese right there, but but then with
bam, mozzarella.
more or less. But in this case, because like cheese, you can't renature the proteins and turn them back
Into milk.
At least they can't do it yet like this. But if you could denature the proteins in milk, make milk into a solid, transport it, or just simply use it as a way to kill off the bacteria, then use this process, bam, it's milk again. You could use it to make cheeses.
And more cheese.
And more cheese. And
hey, cheese.
the cheese is good. I'm okay with more cheese.
Wait,
know,
did
I'm
somebody say cheese?
I heard cheese.
But yeah, so
I'm sad I don't have cheese.
you have a Snickers bar, though.
I do, but it's not made of cheese.
It has chocolate.
Yeah, that'd be weird to have a Snickers
Right?
bar made of cheese. No,
This
thank
conversation has gotten so cheesy.
Oh my god, I'm so tired. Let's
Well,
stop talking about
considering this
cheese.
podcast has gone twice as long as it normally does.
Okay.
We haven't seen each other in a while, guys.
Yeah.
I know,
We have a
right?
lot to get off our chest.
Yes. And so in K-pop news,
Oh, sweet Moses.
You started it, you jerk.
well, let's see. Girls' Generation is currently working on a new album.
Oh, good.
It is good.
I said good.
But you said it sarcastically.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Boom.
I love you. But I also love to tease you.
Amber from the group FX has just released her solo album, and the first single off it, "Shake Your Brass," is actually a fun, awesome, like kind of just silly party song. But it's got a good beat and good rhythm, and you can dance to it.
Oh, good.
Yay.
But it's meant to be a dance song. So, but yeah, no, it's actually a pretty good song, and it's kind of fun because it's about lyrics are about half English, half Korean, because Amber was actually born and raised in L.A.
What's
So,
the Korean equivalent of Spanglish?
Korenglish?
English? It's just generically for.
Oh, I always thought
Asian?
that was kind of racist, though.
It is, but
Because I had a friend who was from Mexico, and when he got drunk, he'd speak Spanish, and then he'd realize no one around him spoke Spanish, so he'd start speaking English, and he would just go back and forth, and
Yeah.
about half the people understood about half of
and
what he said.
then yeah. Actually, interesting side note. I watched a video on. I was watching some videos on Asians talking about their own ethnic identities, and one of the groups they actually interviewed were Singaporeans, and the official language of Singapore is English.
Really?
Yes,
Interesting.
and
Kind of sad.
well, Singapore is a city-state. Literally, it's one city.
Yeah.
But and it's the Singaporeans. They're actually a very broad mix of ethnicities, mostly Thai and Chinese, with some Korean, some Japanese, some Vietnamese, but mostly Thai and Chinese. It's kind of interesting because people who are in their early 60s to late 40s really tried hard to, or actually even into their mid 40s, tried really hard to drop a lot of the Asianness from their speech, the accent, the use of words from Thai or Chinese, especially Chinese, was more prevalent. They tried to drop that, just try to sound more correct in their English. But now their kids have actually coined the term Singlish and are actually trying to actively talk more like their grandparents. So they're intentionally using Chinese words that work better for the situation than the English word that we would use would.
Like in Firefly.
Exactly.
Yay!
So they're not trying to say we don't want to learn English. They're just saying that we want to learn English, but we also want to speak what is essentially our dialect of English. Even though we may know the proper English, we don't want to have to. We want part of our identity. We want this part of our identity back, that we are not English speakers, basically, or we are not from countries that were historically English-speaking countries, which I thought was really cool.
That is cool.
Yeah.
I feel like there's been. I almost wanted to say Australia, but had that. But Australia is primarily English, though. That's how it was started.
Well, there were the
English.
Aborigines there first, but who cares about natives?
What I'm saying is that they have much
Not
like.
dominating countries. That's
Not
for sure.
England.
Definitely
I was
not
just
England.
saying, like in regards to like dialect, but because Australian has its own dialect and
Well, so
accent,
does America,
and
so does Canada.
Well, America has England too.
And England. Well, there's even different ways to speak English
Welsh.
in England.
I know.
No, Welsh is a fucked up version of Gaelic.
Yeah.
Someone forgot the vowels.
Scottish and Irish, Cockney.
Well, Scottish and Irish are.
They're British.
Well, no, I'm talking. There's they actually have. There's two different Gaelics that are spoken. One there's Irish Gaelic and Scots Gaelic.
Well, but the actual
But-
English they speak
But the English
is
they
a different
speak is
dialect.
its own
of it.
dialect.
Right.
Yeah,
I have a friend who's Scottish.
Yeah.
but like in
Listens to our
America,
podcast, actually, I'm not sure. Hi, Stu.
But we're not so much dialectic. We're getting closer to being dialectic, but we're still not there yet because we're still mutually intelligible, except for some of the bad Middle English or
Welsh.
Well, yeah, the Welsh, and also some of the accents from like
I just really
Northern
like making
England.
fun of the Welsh.
Yeah,
oh, like Creole here.
yeah, like
Yeah.
Creole here. I don't know what the fuck
Exactly.
they're saying. But yeah, there's. We're still mutually intelligible. I can understand what an Australian.
Portuguese versus Spanish. Portuguese is Spanish with marbles in your mouth.
Well, yeah, Portuguese. All it is Portuguese is just Spanish with a bad accent.
If you spoke Spanish with marbles in your mouth, you'd sound like you were speaking Portuguese.
Yeah,
I remember Jen saying something like that. They had some Portuguese people come in and they tried to get Jen to translate for them. She's like, I understand about 60% of what they're saying.
Yeah.
But there's just a lot of their own dialect that they're using that you can't understand.
Yeah.
It's just there's.
yeah. Well, with Portuguese, it's far enough away that it is its own language, but we haven't really. Like, English is still English. We haven't really differentiated that much from each other.
Other than slang. I mean,
Well,
that's
slang, but also
Slang's always regional, though.
slang's always regional, and also certain things that have come into use after America was founded, or after America was settled, is a good way to put it. So, for example, we say hood, the British say bonnet. We say trunk, they say boot for cars.
We say cigarette, they say fag.
Yep. It's still officially a cigarette. It's just there's slang for it as fag.
there's
Yeah,
three
we're
words
talking slang.
that I really
Well, no,
want-
boot and bonnet and hood and trunk aren't slang. Those are our words. for
Kind of
them.
like they call chips crisps, cookies,
and
crackers cookies,
and cookies biscuits.
and cookies biscuits. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always there's three words I want to adopt from British language.
Rubbish is a good one.
Rubbish is good.
Yeah.
But clever instead of smart.
Okay.
It seems like clever is used all the
Clever's a
time.
different thing than smart too.
But it seems like that's how it's used.
You can
in-
be smart
in
without
their-
being clever.
Yeah, and you can be clever without being smart too.
Exactly.
But the Brits will tend to use clever instead of smart when they mean what we say. Oh, that's smart. They'll say that's clever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Torch instead of light instead of flashlight,
Yeah.
It makes it sound cooler.
and lift instead of elevator because goddamn it's easier.
Well, there's that. And what does it do? It lifts things.
Yeah.
Seems legit.
Yeah.
So those are like the three words I would like to start incorporating into my everyday language. But the only problem is if I ever said lift or torch, somebody would probably look at me like I was a fucking moron.
Yeah.
Clever they can get
Yeah.
pretty easily, but
Yeah. But yeah, it's, but we can suss out, But like those are legitimate words in American English still too. They don't mean and they still have like for example, torch.
Means relatively close to the same
You're either going to
thing.
get a stick with fire on it or a blowtorch. 'Cause
Right. But
Either
they
way,
use
lights-
those they use that same word for those too,
I know.
along with a flashlight. In fact, they call it a torch because
that's what it does.
it took over the job of the torch. The flashlight took over the job of the torch. So, torch.
Flashlight
Do you
seems
thi-
like an awfully complicated term for a
Do
thing.
you
that's
think they
just a
call the
torch.
light on the back of your phone a torch too?
I don't know.
Well,
Well,
that's an actual flash from a camera on your phone.
I
So
know,
they
but
might
you
call
can
it a
download
flashlight.
the light app.
yeah,
Like, would they call it a torch app?
yeah. They'd call it a torch app.
Oh, you crazy Brits.
Yeah.
Driving on the wrong side of the road, make up your own words.
Technically, they're the ones.
I know.
They're the ones making up the right words.
They started it.
They're the English.
That's the thing we speak.
That we adopted from 90 other different languages.
Yay, America.
Merca.
Well, English is the language best at mugging other languages in dark alleys and rummaging around through their pockets for spare grammar.
I want to end it on that. That's great.
Okay.
All right, so this has been an extra long episode of the Nerd Effect News Show. We hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it because I enjoy catching up with these fools. And anyway, for the Nerd Effect News Show, we have been,
Mark Morgan.
Mason, Ireland.
Iggy Prizzle not yawning.
and yay, we're back!
Yay!
Yay! Bye, everybody.
Bye.